This is Tessa Blanchard, and you're listening to This Is Awesome Wrestling Show.
Produced by the Cleveland Sound Radio Network. Here is the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show, hosted by Glenn Moore and Steve Guy.
Welcome, This Is Awesome Wrestling Show here on CLESound.com. I'm Glenn Moore, joined here by Steve Guy. A crazy week of wrestling here at AIW, NXT, a lot of specials on the WWE Network to get your wrestling fix. And here in This Is Awesome Wrestling Show, we have a whole month of October of interviews scheduled for you coming up, and also a couple we recorded at AIW. This week, our guest is the daughter of the Four Horsemen, Tessa Blanchard, daughter of Tully Blanchard, will be this week's guest. In the coming weeks, we're going to have two parts with Blue Pants, a.k.a. Leva Bates. Also, Johnny Gargano will be returning to the program for a two-part interview. And then also, Gregory Iron will be joining us for a two-part interview. So the next month and a half will be clustered with interviews with faces of the wrestling world. So this week, Tessa Blanchard will be joining us here momentarily, talk about her career, being a daughter of the Four Horsemen, and her future in wrestling. She's only 20 years old.
Only 20 years old.
Only 20, and she wrestled Heidi Lovelace for the title.
And she's very impressive in the ring.
And
she really is.
Yeah, and like I said, only 20 years old, been in the business for a couple of years, and a very interesting story with her and getting into the business, and her father not really accepting her getting into the business, but has gone on, and more of her family supporting her. So great story with her. That's coming up. But Steve, we had NXT a couple of days ago. But first, let's go to AIW, Girls Night Out, and Fresh Meat, a twofer on Saturday here in Cleveland. Your thoughts?
Girls Night Out was it was very good.
Yeah.
It was something else. It was like, and I started to think about this as we talk about the Divas Revolution, and we talk about Stephanie, and we like, oh, this has fallen flat on WWE. I think Stephanie was accidentally right, and she didn't know how she was right. Because I don't think the Divas Revolution is necessarily happening on Monday Night Raw, but it's happening. Because we talk about Tessa Blanchard, she's a 20-year-old girl, Raylan, Britt Baker, all these girls who are really impressive. And what you're starting to see is girls growing up wanting to be wrestlers. And it's the girl who maybe is a dork and a nerd, like a Leva Bates. But it's also the girl who is like the hot cheerleader in your high school, and all of a sudden she grows up and she's like, no, I think I want to kick some ass. And it's happening. And it's happening right there, but it's happening at the independent levels to start. And I don't know that Stephanie is well aware of how much is happening, or Triple H to that. I mean, it's on NXT, and it's great. But, man, these girls at Girls Night Out, they impressed. All of them, realistically. Some matches, of course, better than others, but a fun show to watch overall.
It was interesting because, we get to hang out in the locker room. It's not just like a locker room and people are getting undressed and everything. It's a chill area for all the wrestlers, male and female. And, we set up a little table and, have people come over and talk to us. And you and I were sitting there, and it's like, we were chatting with Veda Scott, Crazy Mary Dobson, who also has made it her NXT appearances as Sarah Dobson. And you have Leva Bates, and you have Tessa Blanchard. And we're sitting there, and we're like, this is like the future of NXT sitting right in front of us with Crazy Mary, who has been on NXT before, Leva Bates as Blue Pants, Veda Scott, who's making her mark in Ring of Honor, and Tessa Blanchard just starting out her-self. I mean, this is like, a couple years, this could be the NXT locker room for women's. It's kudos to AIW for bringing a roster together of this stature of women's wrestling to fill a gymnasium for a 3 o'clock.
Great crowd for it, yeah.
A 3 o'clock show on a Saturday, fill the gymnasium for it, and have excellent women's wrestling. But also, you take a step back and say this could be the NXT women's locker room in a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it's based on personality, in-ring ability. It's just impressive show, and I don't know. It was just I kind of thought about it afterwards, and I was just reflecting, and I was thinking about, all right, we're still watching some of the same old on Raw, but It continues to improve on NXT, and you have what we call the Four Horsewomen, of course, who are just fantastic. And you wonder, well, where are they? Where's the next generation of them? And you're right, hanging out with us in the basement of Mount Carmel.
So and then you had Fresh Meat, which pitted some veterans against AIW veterans versus the AIW school,
including our hero.
Oh God, Frankie Flynn, who got murdered. Is he
murdered?
Have we ever checked on him yet? Has he been checked up on last week?
I checked on him after the show.
Jeez,
he's all right. He's doing okay.
Brutal.
Our
brutal
hero
match.
just destroyed by our good friend Eddie Kingston,
who makes an appearance on some.
He'll be here throughout the month.
Yeah, throughout the month. We're gonna call October Eddie Kingston month here, and this is also a wrestling show.
Yeah, our third co-host Eddie Kingston.
You have Fresh Meat. You had some great guys who are just starting out in the business, and you had some of the veterans, especially Veda Scott, who actually gave some kudos to the AIW school rookies. You want to call them? They're not really rookies because they have other matches, but
now all of these people basically taught by Johnny Gargano, and I think on a night like that, it was fun to watch. We've seen these guys perform before, but I think, for me, the coolest thing was watching how nervous Johnny was. Johnny could not watch a single match.
Right.
He would stand in the stairwell and just listen to the crowd and try to figure it out, and kept asking everybody. I think one of my favorite spots was Weird World from the guy they called Weird Body and Worldwide. And they did this thing called the Lake Erie Monster. Worldwide is just super tall. Weird Body is this really skinny kid. And Worldwide says, "Weird Body, form the Lake Erie Monster." And Weird Body gets on top of him on his shoulders, and they just walk around with their arms dangling out, making stupid faces like they're a monster. And there's a guy sitting on the top ropes with their back to them, and then they just go at the same time, all four hands, and just rake his back.
So that all the spots this weekend of real wrestling, you go for the gimmick comedy spot.
That was great. Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness.
It was good. No, you know what? As much as you harp on Frankie, his match was good and impressive because
he got his ass beat. What did he do? Kudos Eddie Kingston. Yeah, my boy.
And that's where I was going with it.
Yeah.
Because Eddie is so awesome at telling the story. And he knew going into that, this is what we're trying to do. Frankie, we're going to get you over by you just keep coming back, and you just keep getting punished. And Eddie knew what he was talking about. And he was right, to the point where there was a girl yelling at Eddie at the end of the match, saying, "You're really hurting him."
Yeah. True heel.
Eddie sold it. Frankie sold it. I mean, you got to give Frankie props for the sell job, at least, right?
I don't think you can. You're not selling when you're legitimately getting your ass beat.
Oh man,
dude.
it was good. It was
a good story. Frankie tried to make a comeback, and there was no Duke interference. It was good, and Kingston went out. I mean, he took the concession table, threw it, through the ice and everything off to the side. It was right in front of us. And threw the table on Frankie. I mean, Frankie took a nice beating.
Going back real quick, if I can recommend from the Girls' Night Out show, one match for everybody to watch: Mia Yim, Candice LeRae.
Yeah, that was good.
Didn't want to forget about that.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about people getting their ass beat, and I remember Candice just going into the barricade. And I walked over to Johnny and thinking, why? Talk to your girlfriend. Why does she need to do that? But that was a fantastic match.
So moving on from a true heel Eddie Kingston to NXT, and you had the women's title being the main event in the ladder IronMan match.
Yeah, speaking of true heels.
But Sasha Banks, your crush, goes true heel, and you don't see this in wrestling anymore, especially WWE. And we talked about this with Dangerous Doug Gilbert, being a true heel, interacting with the crowd, and even talking with Hardcore Holly off to the side.
Yeah.
About being a heel and changing with the crowd. Is that wrestlers nowadays, they just want to go out, do their match, they're still worried about the spots they have in their head, that they don't really tell a story to the crowd, interact with the crowd the way the old timers do. And Eddie Kingston is marvelous on the mic of encouraging a crowd to boo him.
Oh, yeah.
To get a reaction.
Even if they don't want to boo him, they end up wanting to boo him.
Yeah. And WWE, it's a 3-hour show, but the segments are so rushed that sometimes wrestlers don't even have any any time to interact with the crowd. Do their
Right.
match, get out of the ring, move on. There's no time to work up a crowd. But to have Sasha Banks pull the ultimate heel, go to Izzy, Bayley's biggest fan, pull off her headband into the ring, and mock her, do the crybaby, call her a little bitch, and throw the headband back at Izzy while Izzy's bawling her eyes out, I thought was marvelous. And it upset me that some people on the internet and message boards were kind of upset with Sasha for doing that. She is a heel. You don't see that anymore because of people saying it's a little bit too far. I thought it was perfect for the story. She got major heat, and that's what that's what a heel does, is work up a crowd and go after the number one fan for Bayley, and I thought it was perfect.
Look, here's the problem. We live in a world now where, yes, WWE is part of Be a Star, and nobody likes bullying. And so now you have this, it went too far, it's too much of a bully.
Right.
What do you think happens in a fight? How do you think a fight, so to speak, happens? And that's what they're creating is, so to speak, a fight. That's what sports entertainment is about.
Right.
If this was real wrestling, you'd just be having a guy versus a guy for sport. But there's storylines and everything involved. You're going to have a quote-unquote bully or a bad person, but that's what makes the story great. That's what makes you cheer for a Bayley. If you're one of these younger fans, you need a heel. You need a bully to have a hero, and Bayley is your hero. Sasha Banks played it perfectly, and I think she has to go that far because of how much we know of the backstory, how much we know about the Four Horsewomen and everybody else. You now make her have to go that much further because it's like, here's two great competitors who really respect each other and they love each other. Nope.
Yeah.
Apparently not.
They do, because then you had, they shook hands before the match, and Bayley offered to bring up Sasha. Then Sasha pulls the old heel and takes advantage of it, gets advantage.
Right.
But after the match, Triple H came out with flowers for both.
And that's
the
after the
ladies.
match. Yeah.
But then after the show went off the air, this is what wasn't aired, but this what happened is Sasha went down to Izzy, apologized, and gave her flowers to Izzy. What she did was part of the show, and I don't like when you tell them that I like wrestling. Well, the first thing they say is, it's fake, right? Then don't come after me saying that what Sasha did
She's
was
a bully.
wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the show. It is fake. It is staged. It's scripted. Do I think the whole Izzy thing was scripted? No, I think it was off the fly. I think it was spur of the moment kind of thing for Sasha. She took advantage of it and went perfectly. But don't come at me saying wrestling's fake and then condemn a performer for doing something when there's movies and TV shows of kids getting raped, killed, and murdered by adults on primetime TV.
If I got to watch all these things of SVU all the time,
come on.
Then this is okay.
You're worried about someone taking someone's headband and throwing it back at her, making her cry.
Right.
She went after the show, gave her flowers, and everything is fine. It's part of the show, people. It's let's calm down a little bit. And that's why you're exactly right. That's why we don't see stuff like that, because A, amount of time they're given, and B, we're in a PG world where you can't say anything wrong. You can't swear without being some kind of bad person. It's ridiculous, and I wish WWE would do more of this stuff for heels. Is to have crowd interaction, even if they're plants, even if they're into the crowd. WWE is known for doing that when the Bella Twins are in their seats in the crowd. They put plants around them for security, but also to gain a reaction. So it happens, but I wish WWE would do more of it.
But the match itself,
it was great.
It's fantastic. They did an excellent job. I mean, 30 minutes is a long way to go, but it got to the point. At the beginning, I liked it. Again, we're talking about storytelling within the match. They feel each other out. Everybody keeps trying to get that quick pin. And then the match just goes on, and it really picks up steam. And next thing you know, I'm watching it. I'm like, holy crap, there's only 5 minutes left.
Right.
Where did this time go all of a sudden? It was good. I think a part of me thought they're going to end this in a tie, and it's going to go to overtime.
Sudden death.
But it didn't. It's still a pretty awesome finish, though.
I love... You can tell at the beginning they stalled for so long, trying to knock out a few minutes before they actually started getting to the match. Because obviously half an hour is you're basically don't going, maybe 3 matches in one match, because usually these girls are given 10, 12 minutes.
Right.
The stalling, kind of the spots to where they do a move, they back away, they stare at each other for a little bit. So you can kind of tell the stalling, but once they got into the story, and I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, the last 10 minutes, they're going to go balls to the wall.
Yeah.
And really get into it. And I love how Sasha puts her in the bank statement and is stomping away at Bayley's hand, adding insult to injury. And then you have Bayley, which her finishing move I think should be called the BFF. You like that? You like that? That submission hold is great. BFF.
Standing for
Bayley's friend forever or something like that. Maybe.
Oh, okay.
BFF. She got the BFF in. But when she has a BFF, I'm gonna call it BFF. I don't give a fuck.
Bayley's favorite finisher.
Yeah. There you go. Hey, she is kicking the back of Sasha's head in the submission hold.
Yeah.
And then she taps out with like 1 second left. But great overall match. And I think that well deserved of flowers and recognition. And we kind of knew that Sasha wasn't going to win because she's on the main roster, but we wanted to see how it happened. And hey, kudos to Bayley for a great match. She continues just to dominate, and hell of a match, hell of a show. I think every single match
was entertaining.
Was very, very good.
Dusty Rhodes Classic was good.
Yeah.
The only gripe I have about that is that, all right, you're telling me that none of your actual tag teams were good enough to be in the final there? You know what I mean?
I can see that, but
that's the only gripe I have. I guess I get it. You're basically putting together super teams, like with a Samoa Joe and a Finn Balor, and I guess Rhino and Baron Corbin, but none of your tag teams, like it's built around tag teams, and none of your main tag teams make it to the final.
Well, I think the super teams give more of, they kind of gain a little bit more than.
Yeah, but not even like your tag team champs.
How'd they lose? Who'd they lose to?
I don't remember. Earlier on. I mean, they weren't even in the top 4.
Yeah, and they didn't even compete on the show.
Right.
I mean, this is obviously you want your top stars being in. This is a gimmick.
Sure.
Gimmick tournament to honor Dusty Rhodes. So I can see that. It's not like this is going to happen every week. It's just more of a gimmick thing. But
I enjoyed Dustin.
Yeah.
And Cody coming out there at the end. It was good.
Yeah.
I'm happy that they were there.
Definitely. I think obviously they had to be.
There was a part of me though that wanted a Goldust Stardust run in and just beat down Samoa Joe and Finn Balor and be like, we're the winners of the Dusty Classic.
I don't think Goldust is 100% healed yet.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
From an injury. And then obviously you had all these matches during the night, and you had the following night, which was yesterday. We're taping on a Friday here. Was the tapings for NXT for the next few weeks. Johnny Gargano here and locally wrestled, and then you had Apollo Crews win the Battle Royal to become the number 1 contender for Finn Balor's title, which Samoa Joe.
Moving up fast.
Samoa Joe is not too pleased. I think a Samoa Joe heel turn is intimate. But Apollo Crews, Apollo Crews would be perfect maybe for the New Day.
No,
you don't
he's
think
better
so?
than that. You can't keep adding to the New Day. You gotta leave them as they are.
I think Apollo Crews would be kind of like the
I still wish his name was Uha.
Yeah, I would love that. But Apollo Crews, the number 1 contender, like you said, moving up very, very quickly up the ranks.
Kevin Owens rise.
I don't think as popular right now. Kevin Owens was, dude,
but I mean,
quick,
like how quickly he's been moved up.
Yeah. But James Storm from TNA made his debut for NXT at the tapings yesterday,
and he's got to be like a utilized, probably like a Samoa Joe Rhino kind of deal.
I think it's more of a slap in the face of TNA, like, hey, we're going to take your top TNA guys, and we're going to put them in our, developmental NXT brand and Samoa Joe.
But I think it's to help develop the younger people.
No, I agree, yeah. James Storm is an older guy. He's not – I don't think if he made his debut on Raw that it would turn heads and be like, oh, my God, like a Samoa Joe would.
Right.
But he is a former TNA World Champ, Tag Team Champ. hey, if he wants to work for NXT and work limited schedule.
Look, he was around
you know.
way back when WCW still existed.
Yeah,
in its final run there.
So, hey, kudos to that. But I think that the TNA invasion is moving right along. You had Sting, Dudley Boys, Samoa Joe, now James Storm. Who's next?
Yeah, I think that whole invasion angle was supposed to be TNA and Global Force, but apparently it's turning into TNA invading NXT.
All these TNA people coming in.
WWE.
Dave Meltzer is reporting that a major name from TNA might be coming back to WWE, and if they'll be welcomed with open arms and would get a ton of money, we can only speculate that a couple names come to mind instantly. It's Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
But I don't think that. I think that ship has sailed for Angle return to WWE. But one person that comes to my mind is Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy.
I've never been a fan of Jeff Hardy. I enjoy the TLC matches back in the 90s, but I was never big on him as a singles competitor at
Maybe
all.
it's EC3.
That'd be great.
It'd be amazing.
That'd be
It's probably
awesome.
not him.
No.
Speaking of Kurt Angle, did you enjoy the Gable chants to Kurt Angle's music?
Yeah, it was good. It was pretty good. Did you watch Bound for Glory on Sunday?
I did not watch Bound for Glory. The only wrestling thing I didn't watch here over the weekend.
It was actually decent wrestling, not bad. The EC3 match, he lost the title.
Yes,
but
I
he
knew
filed
that.
an injunction. There was going to be a.
Of course he did.
This is why TNA is such a joke, and I feel bad for EC3 and the guys that probably deserve maybe more of a spotlight on WWE, but they're going to have a World Cup style tournament for the TNA championship. They're going to have ladies wrestle for the title.
Oh.
I get women's wrestling, but come on. You think women, they actually have a chance for the TNA title? No. Come on.
China
I mean,
would have.
so they're going to have like 3 brackets and like
Cool Bass.
a round robin tournament and points for winning and it's too confusing.
That's very confusing.
But that's what TNA has come to,
and the World Cup isn't even relevant right now.
Exactly. I don't get it. But Matt Hardy won the title, and then he gave it back. So you can say Matt Hardy is a former world champ now.
I don't know.
But James Storm is in NXT. Kudos to him, Apollo Crews. Did anybody watch the WWE 24 special?
Oh, you say anybody? It's just you and I here.
Well, to our audience, if you guys haven't watched it, don't have the network, you should watch it.
It was good. It was nice to watch. I liked that.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that more after our interview with Tessa Blanchard. We're going to chat with her. And like I said, coming up in the coming weeks, we have Blue Pants, Johnny Gargano, Gregory Iron. We have two parts with these interviews. So next few weeks, next month is going to be booked, including wherever we get at AIW. Big Trouble in Little Cleveland, featuring Terry Funk. AIWrestling.com is the website if you want to get tickets and meet Terry Funk. And our good buddy John Thorne tweeted out that Terry Funk is not leaving AIW until he meets every single person.
Every person there.
So if you want to meet Terry Funk, get a photo, hang out with a living legend, a man who has retired many times, but has come back, you can head over to AIWrestling.com, buy your tickets. If you want to sponsor too, reach out to AIWrestling.com and be a part of something special with Terry Funk coming here to Cleveland and being a part of AIW. So, like I said, Blue Pants, Johnny Gargano, Gregory Iron are our future interviews, 2-part interviews with those folks, with appearances by Annie Kingston and Veda Scott. But right now, we want to have Tessa Blanchard, daughter of Tully Blanchard, a daughter of the Four Horsemen, right here. This is Awesome Wrestling Show. Welcome back. This is Awesome Wrestling Show here on CLDSound.com. Want to welcome a very special guest for this week. You might know the last name, and you might know her. She's making faces at me right now.
Childish.
Tessa Blanchard joining us on the show. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
AIW. We're here in Cleveland. You made the trip. Is this your first time at AIW?
This is my 3rd time at AIW.
3rd time.
Oh.
Now you're only 20 years old.
I just turned 20.
And you're in the business for what, 2 years?
It'll be 2 years at the end of December.
So you're starting out very, very young.
Yes.
But your dad, Tully Blanchard, you have wrestling in your blood, literally in your blood. Third generation superstar, wrestler, whatever you want to say. But did you know this is what you wanted to do from a very young age?
No, actually, growing up, I always wanted to be in like on Broadway, like musical theater type stuff, like acting. I have a very theatrical family.
Are you a good singer though?
Probably not. Probably not. But I used to think I was. Like, all through middle school and high school, I was in choir and did the musicals and did the North Carolina Theater and Charlotte Children's Theater and theater.
So, I'm going to ask you, because WWE has this Four Horsewomen thing going on, what NXT does. And when you think horsemen, horsewomen, I would think you would have to be involved in that.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
I mean, it's literally in your blood. I mean, you have the history, but is that something that doesn't bother you per se, but is that something you would like to be a part of, since your father was?
I'm sure, of course I would. My dad was one of the originals. Charlotte, her dad was one of the originals. Right. So it's only fitting if you're going to go by generation. But the girls that are in it right now, they've worked really hard. They're stepping the game up for women's wrestling, because if you look back in wrestling history, women back in I don't know how to put this, unless you look back in like Johnny Valentine, Wahoo McDaniel era,
right?
You're not going to find like actual women's wrestling,
right?
So it's cool that they're kind of changing the game and bringing that back.
Speaking of the Four Horsemen and Four Horsewomen, the fact that the Four Horsemen end up with daughters.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Being the daughter of a horseman?
Yeah.
I don't look at my dad like that. That's my dad, but it does add a lot of pressure, especially like on the independent scene in the locker rooms and
right.
Going out there just trying to live up to, he's a Hall of Famer in the WWE. That's ridiculous. That's a lot to live up to, and it's a lot of weight on your shoulders, and it's stressful, and it gets you heat, and it's also like the coolest thing in the whole world at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, growing up, were you a fan at all, or were you just super into theater and everything else? Like, did you understand what Dad did, and you were like, I want to go watch this?
My dad stopped wrestling before I was born.
Yeah.
So wrestling was always like a part of the family. It wasn't until about 2012 when we all went down to Miami for the Hall of Fame, when I was really like around Four Horsemen fans, where they were all like chanting my dad's name and like holding up the four and stopping us on the streets to like get pictures, and I'm just like, whoa, Dad's a superstar.
Yeah.
This is crazy. And that's probably the trip where I decided I wanted to be a wrestler, because Ashley, Charlotte, she was down there. We were all on the bus on the way to the Hall of Fame, and she was talking to Rick about how like, oh, this would be so cool if like we got into wrestling and stuff. And then fast forward 2 or 3 years, look where she is now.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I could do this. So I got kicked out of my house when I was 18, and I lived on my own. Didn't really talk to my family. Found a place to start training and decided to get into wrestling. Didn't even tell my family about it, and started training. Stuck with it, and I'm killing it on the indies right now. Just going everywhere I can, and just trying to work my way up.
Can we ask what you did? How did you get kicked out of the house?
Oh my God, I don't. That's really personal. That's like
Don't
really,
answer.
I can't answer this.
Yeah.
No, I didn't do anything bad.
No.
I was actually a very good kid. But just, stuff happens with families, and
Sure.
lived on my own for a year. And in that year, I found High Spot, started training there with George South, and they told me if I didn't tell my family about it that I couldn't train there anymore. So, had to call Dad, and they ended up being really supportive. My dad and my stepdad both my stepdad, Magnum, he's more of like the follow your heart and your dreams, and
Right.
if this is what you want to do, I will fully support you type parent. And my dad is more like money, business, school,
Yeah.
serious,
Go get a degree.
strict type parent.
Yeah.
So you kind of get the best of both worlds, and they both help me so much in every aspect of wrestling, business, personal, follow your dreams type way.
Now, when you further your career, and if you ever make it to WWE, obviously, Charlotte Flair, obviously Ric Flair's daughter, when she started with NXT, she kind of like broke away. Like her music wasn't a mix of her dad's.
Yes, it was.
Always? from the start?
Pretty sure it always was.
I don't know about from the very start, but definitely in NXT. Yeah.
Whenever they aired her on NXT, it was.
But like when she was on NXT, like she wasn't on TV.
That's actually how I got the idea to make my music, was make a mix of the
Four Horsemen
music.
But, you know, she wasn't doing the Woo. She wasn't doing Four Horsemen. She was kind of trying to be on her own, separate of her
I think
name.
it's because she felt I mean, in my opinion, this could be totally wrong, but in my opinion and just, like, hearing stories and stuff and talking to people, I think it's because as a generation kid, like, you feel that stress, and people will always be there saying, like, you're only where you are because of your name, and you're going to get that wherever you go. And once you stop letting that bug you, and you realize you can't choose I talked to Carlito about this for like hours when we were at WrestleCon. He's like, we didn't get to choose who our family was.
Yeah.
So you embrace that shit.
Right.
And so Ash is like, heck yeah, that's my dad. I want to hold up the four. I want to woo. I want to chop. You know, because that's dad. You know, I want to do the slingshot suplex. Like, at first when I started in the indies, like, that really bugged me. I had a really hard time with it, going to like Shimmer and Shine and dealing, like, making myself fit in the locker room. I still struggle with it a lot. But it's something you just kind of have the mental strength and be like, screw it, I'm gonna be good. I can't choose who my family was, but I'll embrace it.
That was my question. You know, do you want to do it on your own without your family name attached to you, or do you want to embrace it and say, hey, I'm Blanchard. I am.
Yeah, would you take a different name?
Right.
I think to an extent both. I mean, I like how Charlotte isn't Charlotte Flair, but they know she's a Flair. She just has the first name there. Like, I like that. I respect that. You know, she doesn't go around like saying, oh, I'm Rick's daughter, I'm Rick's daughter, I'm Rick's daughter this, I'm Rick's daughter that. She doesn't put her whole career based on Rick's shoulders.
Right.
Like, she has the talent to back it up, and that's why she's there.
Yeah.
Like, just because she's Rick's daughter, if she was crap in the ring, she probably wouldn't be there.
Right.
But she's not. She's freaking awesome, and she's worked her butt off since she was a personal trainer in Charlotte, North Carolina, and she's awesome, and I'm so proud of her. But I think the same way, like, I like being on the indies right now and driving the 12 to 14 hours to shows and, like, paying my dues and still, like, working my way from the bottom up, but still acknowledging the fact that I'm a Blanchard.
Right.
Just so you know, if you were
That was a good answer.
It was a great answer.
Speechless.
Started from the bottom. Now
That was
you're
a
here.
good answer.
If you were crap, we wouldn't have you on this show. Don't worry about it.
Awesome. Awesome sauce.
You have to be. I mean, the driving around that you do and you're younger, I mean, that's gotta help. Do you think that if you were, I don't know, further along in age and you're like, yeah, maybe I kind of want to do this wrestling thing, would it be worse? Just starting out later?
I don't know. I'm having like so much fun right now. I'm not even thinking. I'm not rushing or anything. I'm having so much fun. You know, I'm 20 years old and getting to wrestle every weekend. I got to go to China a few weeks ago.
There you go.
And I'm getting to travel and work some of the best females on the independent scene, and it's just like I'm having so much fun right now. So I don't see a need to like rush or you know, I just want to get better and work everyone and work everywhere and do everything I can before or if anything ever happens or comes of it.
How much did the theater background and everything that you did in middle school and high school actually help you?
Oh my gosh,
in ring?
So much. I'm so thankful. I'm like, I can incorporate it into my wrestling. It's awesome. Just like facials and, you know, just because that's what we are. We're actors.
Yeah.
So it's definitely helped a lot. It's hard to explain how. It just has.
Right.
You're like, oh, being a girly girl did pay off.
I'm so, like, I'm learning to be a girly girl.
You're learning?
Oh, yeah.
So you're a
like
tomboy growing up then? Or?
And all
really?
that stuff.
So
like
theater and music was the only thing that you did that was super girly growing up? Is that what
is
you're
that
telling
super
us?
girly? Because boys did it.
Well,
There are boys who did musical theater.
There are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you meant the makeup. I thought you were going to the makeup thing.
There are boys who do makeup, too.
There
not-
are. There are.
Not these boys.
Yeah.
You look like you're wearing eyeshadow right now.
No,
Yes.
definitely not. Do not.
I think you're wearing eyeshadow.
Those are also contacts to make his eyes.
They're
that
colored
look- yep.
contacts. This is getting a little weird.
Yeah, he's into it. Oh, now you're wearing blush.
Yeah, now we're in blush.
You're blushing. Yep.
Totally.
So what were you like then growing up? If you weren't a girly girl.
Yeah, we want to know more about
we want
you,
to know
the
more
person.
about Tessa.
What was I like growing up? Goodness. Well, my parents got divorced when I was real young, so
Oh, now
we
we're
were
getting
always,
into it.
Yeah, that's
we were always
deep.
with my mom or my dad, and
Yeah.
you know, so our
Yeah.
family was very like together. I don't know what I was like growing up. Goodness, it's hard. We've had a very complicated family. It's never boring. There are 7 kids in our house.
Holy smokes.
7 kids, so there's always something going on. It's
Wow.
never boring.
Did you watch, I mean, wrestling growing up, like at all? Just like it was on the TV, if your family, other people in your house were watching it. I mean, did you have a favorite growing up at all? Or?
On and off, yeah. I do have a favorite wrestler, and not necessarily growing up, but like now it's Johnny Valentine.
Okay.
And he's like super, super old school. But my favorite match ever was him against Wahoo McDaniels. It was back in the 80s. I can't say. I want to say 83. It might have been 80.
When I was born, yeah.
Yeah, you weren't around.
Yeah, you weren't even close to being around.
Like a long time ago, back when my grandpa was still doing all this. Goodness, a long time ago. But Johnny Valentine is my all-time favorite wrestler.
So you're into the old school stuff. You're
I
into
love
that,
old school wrestling.
Yeah.
Love old school wrestling.
That would probably make your father proud.
Goodness.
How, are you asking him for pointers and going to him asking how to do certain things, or how should
not
putting a match
necessarily
together?
like my dad and I actually don't really talk about wrestling too much unless it's business related. Like he helps me a lot with the business aspect of it.
That's good.
Yeah.
As far as like learning everything, I try to do it on my own for the most part. And if I have like, crap, Dad, is this even smart? Like if I need something like that, like, and that's very rare, I'll ask him. My stepdad helps me out a lot. You know, he'll come to matches and critique, and you know, as far as me being in the gym and like helping me mold my body to what I want it to be in my eating, and you know, because it's a lifestyle. It's not not just, you know, can you do this move and this move and this move?
Right.
And I'm only 2 years in, so I could be talking too much, but because I'm still learning so much.
But it's good to have that you have both bases covered. You have in the ring what to eat, what to look like, and then you have the business, you know, not to get screwed.
Yeah.
You know, money-wise and everything, have everything covered.
Yeah, which is perhaps your biggest advantage, really, in having your dad as an asset, right? Because how many people kind of get into this and like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to wrestle. I want to do this. I want to entertain. And they kind of lose track. Like, yeah, there is this other world to it, but you've got that experience at least to come to you.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm very blessed to have like both aspects, both kind of sides from each of my dads. That's why I miss my grandpa being around, because I think I got into wrestling after he already passed away, but I think he would have like loved to to give me some pointers and talk to me about old stories and stuff, because he was like one of the most fun people ever.
Yeah.
So I miss him a lot, and I wish he was still around to like watch me in my career progress.
Do you watch? I don't know how you would watch. Do you watch any of anything that he ever did?
There's not too much around, just because it was so long ago.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think someone
even further back than 1983.
Bill Apter, I think, just sent me a video of my grandpa. It was like some like long show back in the day, like Southwest Championship Wrestling back in the territory days.
Wow. Yeah.
Which my grandpa was the promoter of Southwest Championship Wrestling back in Texas. And no one ever knows this, but before WWE or WWF or anything ever came to cable television, my grandpa brought the very first professional wrestling to cable television. And no one ever knows that, but I didn't even know that for a long time until I'm like going back in my family history, and I'm like, I want to know more and more and more. But you know, it's super cool being a third generation wrestler and talking to other generational wrestlers. You know, we all have some of the same struggles, and but it's very rare to find third generation, and like Natty Neidhart, she's a third generation also, and it's a very cool thing, like a small group of people, but very, very cool to be able to root your wrestling family heritage back to like the 60s, 70s, and so forth.
Now moving forward, we're gonna give you this question. We're gonna make you the booker. All right.
The booker.
Your
give me the pencil.
Your WrestleMania match, main event, who would it be you're facing off against, and what kind of match?
I'd like to have a triple threat match against Natty and Charlotte, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are like two girls I really want to get in the ring with someday.
Third generation triple threat.
Or even like a fatal four-way and add Paige in there, just because she's awesome.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah. So that would be your WrestleMania main event.
Yeah.
Would you win?
Of course.
Of course. She has to go over.
We only had one person ever on the show say that they would not win their dream match.
Who was that?
Ethan Page.
That's right.
That humble kid.
But he was facing The
Rock. He
was
lying.
He was facing The Rock at the Rock Bottom.
I'm facing The Rock, and I'm going over.
That's another third generation superstar. That's fine.
The People's Slingshot Suplex.
There you go.
That's my new move.
I feel like
we're gonna make that a thing.
We're obliged to ask this question. It's an obligation, but did the Four Horsemen's children hang out growing up ever?
We're all so many different ages. JJ's daughters, I still talk to Pam and Nikki and his son. I still talk to them a little bit, actually, currently. JJ's oldest daughter knew me, like held me when I was a baby. And then Arn has a son that's my age, and he's starting out college right now. We never really hung out or anything, but I've met him a few times. And then probably I hung out with Rix, Ashley, or Charlotte and Reed.
Yeah.
Most out of all of them, and then the Rotundas. We didn't really hang out with them too much, but Barry,
Right.
Yeah.
their family, so kind of ish, I guess. Ish.
So I can only imagine, Four Horsemen, style and profiling, and this hardcore guys. I can only imagine how the get-togethers would be, family-wise. You got a Four Horsemen barbecue going on. I can only imagine. Yeah, a lot of woos going on.
Lots of woos, lots of fingers, and lots of.
Is that the most? When you get pictures of people, do they want you to throw up the floor?
All the time.
And you're totally cool with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, not so much.
I don't know if I'm allowed to do this yet.
Oh, that's true.
I don't know if I've made it there yet.
It's in your blood. I think you get the pass.
Yeah, once in a while.
Yeah.
Because it's cool.
Yeah.
It's like the coolest faction ever.
It
Putting
is.
aside that it's my dad, like that's the most badass faction ever.
They are in the Hall of Fame.
Everyone
as a
wanted
faction.
to be them. Everyone
Yeah.
to be with them. It was just cool.
And even later on, in WCW in the late '90s, I mean, you had Benoit and Mongo, Flair. I mean, the different versions of the Four Horsemen. There was always a rugged group of guys. So it never faltered.
Did you ever ask your dad why they did such mean things to Dusty Rhodes, though? Did you ever watch that stuff?
Yes.
Stuff in the Memphis territory too. That was some intense stuff.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Oof.
You don't have to answer it.
I'm
Don't
not
worry.
going to.
Good.
I'm not going to.
You were on Dusty's side, too, weren't
I'm
you?
no
watching
selling
it?
this whole thing. What was the question?
Man.
Getting real high pitched.
All right, we'll let you go. It's been past 10 minutes. I know you're on your
I tap
way
out.
on your way out. Love to see you back here at AIW. Love to see where you go from here. Good luck in everything you do.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
And we hopefully will see you on WBTV throwing up the Four Horsewomen sign because you are a true member of the Four Horsewomen.
You're not going to let it go. You want to...
You sound like everyone else on Twitter.
Yeah.
What, am I a Twitter troll now? I'm a troll?
No.
You're only a troll if you're saying negative things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's positive.
You sound like everyone else that says that on
Is-
Twitter.
There you go.
I just don't know if I'm allowed to say anything back, so I don't.
Is there anything you want to leave us with?
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Maybe do you want to give us a quick verse from one of your favorite musicals ever?
Not really,
All right, this is
because
your
I don't think I'm a good
opportunity.
singer.
Just
Oh, come on.
just in case this wrestling thing doesn't pan out, maybe you want to try out.
It'd
for
probably
somebody.
be really bad.
All right.
It'd probably be really, really bad. John Silver sings. He sings. He sings.
Oh, my goodness.
What? He did
Karaoke
karaoke last night.
Who doesn't do karaoke?
Oh, Backstreet Boys is an
Could you
excellent
give us a
choice.
verse? John Silver, could you give us a verse?
You're being...
You're being summoned.
She's giving away her verse to John Silver.
I usually don't do this for free, but
Well, karaoke's
you
free.
are
Oh, boy.
my fire,
In his Backstreet
the
Boys shirt.
one
Oh, yep.
desire. That's all you get for free right now.
All
Oh, all right,
right.
fair enough. Thank you.
It's like an
Thank you,
iTunes
Mr.
thing.
And it
Silver.
doesn't get better than that.
No, it doesn't. All right.
Oh, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. So we wanted, Tessa to come on, and these girls are so busy backstage, and they have to leave. They go to the next town for the next show, and we didn't have to beg her, but we kind of had to, kind of ask
She was a little nervous.
a little bit firmly. Hey, we'd love to have you on. First, she said, 5-10 minutes tops, but obviously it turned out to be more than that, and it was terrific because right off the bat she was, very relaxed with us.
Yeah.
And usually, 20-year-old wrestlers, especially girls who are not really, it's in her blood, but not really familiar with interviews and how to conduct themselves, what to say, what not to say. she did very, very well with us, and right off the bat, as you noticed in the interview, I'm trying to do her introduction for her, and she's making a goofy face at me, trying to make me laugh.
She's a little spitfire.
Yeah, but she's great. Great interview with her. Make sure to check her out. Tessa Blanchard. She's dating Ricochet. She's
Oh, really?
yeah, that's what she is. She's dating.
All right.
So, but yeah, daughter of Tully Blanchard.
She's gonna listen to this and be like, "No, I'm not." I don't know.
I mean, unless her Instagram is wrong.
She's like, I don't want people to know that, but it's all over her Instagram.
It's out there. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, she was great. Interview talked about being a daughter of the Four Horsemen. Friends of the family with Charlotte and the Flair family. So some great stories there. We'd love to have her on. And we don't want to spoil anything, but she could be someone that could be easily inserted into NXT.
Oh, easily.
And keep that Blanchard Four Horsewomen name. And we asked right off the top was, how do you feel about the Four Horsewomen? And you don't have you have Charlotte,
That's
Flair's, but you don't have
Yeah, she'd love
Tessa.
she'd love to do
love,
something
yeah.
like that, like she said. I think that'd be cool. That'd be pretty sweet. But it would just be the two of them.
yeah. But I think
No other girls, but that'd still be pretty awesome.
it'd still be awesome. And I would not doubt her, and I would definitely, if I had to bet, I would definitely bet on her being in NXT and WWE very, very, very soon, because she's very talented for being 20 years old. It's in her blood. She understands the business side, and the wrestling side.
Yeah, she's somebody that can help carry that, and that's what they've been looking for. She's somebody just like all these other girls who are younger, but she's even younger than them, that can help carry that division for some time. You had the debut of Asuka on NXT TakeOver, but she's not a spring chicken. She's not younger. Obviously, a lot of the divas, everybody has a short shelf life, guys or divas. So they need that younger blood, and she's one that I could see you insert her, and she could be there for a decade.
Speaking of her, Dana Brooke had a match against Asuka, and Dana Brooke, and we've been critical of her, even though she's from Cleveland, from Seven Hills, and an Ohio girl, love her, along with Alexa Bliss, but we've been critical because she's a former bodybuilder.
Right, she's that fitness model coming in and just going into wrestling.
Yeah, she just has some bumps in the road, and watching her live and on TV, you're wondering if she's going to catch on. And I think this was, as a wrestling standpoint, this is her coming out party, because she's facing someone that's been wrestling for years. Like you said, she's not a spring chicken. She's a veteran. She held her own. She sold perfectly, told the story perfectly.
Yeah.
And kudos to Dana Brooke for really coming along these last year. And
probably your best match so far.
Yeah, and you compare it to a girl like Eva Marie, who has been trying to wrestle for 3 years, still was horrible. Not even on the show for NXT, even though she's the face of women's wrestling, so to speak. Hasn't been improving. She's starting to hurt people. Then you have Dana Brooke, who's been busting her ass, working hard. She knows she wasn't the best. She knows she has a lot to work on. She's improved, and it showed on Wednesday, definitely.
Yeah, like I said, her best match to date, and it was excellent. You wonder how much pairing her with Emma, how much do they hang out backstage? Has that helped? Getting to pick somebody's brain, because there's somebody who's been in the business for some time now, and probably kudos to the NXT women's trainer right now.
Yeah,
she's Sarah
Del Rey.
Del Rey, there you go. She's doing just a fantastic job teaching these ladies.
So kudos Dana Brooke for stepping up to the plate and facing one of the veterans of women's wrestling, and holding her own and not looking green like she has been probably the past 6 months. Really starting to improve. But we talked about W24 NXT, the show on W Network. I watched it before NXT, and I have to say, dude, obviously Mr. Seth Rollins was in tears during the match, but WWE, we complain about them a lot. They do a lot of things wrong, but these specials and video packages, they're memorandum packages for people who have passed away, and especially these Table for Three programs. If
they're done well.
They're not subscribed to the network. If you want to watch some quality programming with wrestlers, especially NXT, it's worth the $10 a month. But, dude, I'll be honest. I'm a grown man, and some of these parts of the NXT, following on Sasha, Bayley, Becky Lynch with her family. I mean,
Cry?
had a little tears, dude.
Oh, come on.
Especially like when seeing Seth Rollins cry. Dude, Seth Rollins, WWE champ, is crying. I'm okay to cry.
Yeah,
dude.
but Seth Rollins is
I'll
like
admit it.
really close and tight with them. Like he came up in NXT
We interviewed
while these
Sasha.
girls were starting
We
out.
interviewed Sasha.
We interviewed Sasha. Yeah.
Surprised you're not. You love the girl to death.
Yeah, I was happy for her. I wasn't
Yeah.
crying like a little
tear.
baby, and plus she lost the
Like
match.
a baby
She'd be
tear
angry.
here. I'm a man to admit it.
I mean, it was nice to see how much they all pull for each other, though.
Yeah.
How much they really do seem to like and respect each other. Who knows? Maybe with NXT you have less locker room turmoil. I don't know, because it is a lot like. It is kind of that locker room. The NXT locker room is kind of, hey, it's us versus the world. It's not us versus maybe the main roster, but it's like we're here to take over the world. We got to do it together. We make each other better.
Right.
All mostly coming up from the indies and everybody, all knowing how hard that they've worked. So I get why Seth cried, I guess, a little bit. But I think that's cool. It's cool to see how much they truly did pull for each other.
Yeah.
Even when they go backstage, great. Triple H, like a proud Papa Bear. I thought that was one of the funnier parts, picking up both of the girls. Yeah. That was good. That was fun to watch. Yeah, even the Finn, Kevin Owens story.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that, too. And
Dude, Finn is. I have no interest in Finn at all.
See, it was a good thing to have for Finn, because that was the most personality that you've seen out of Finn.
And there was no personality.
I think you got some out of him there, at least.
Even other guys that, like Regal and all these guys are like, he doesn't say much. And it's just him looking on his phone and on his. It's like, I woke up today. Oh, that's what he said. Oh, I woke up today. Beautiful day. Realized I had a ladder match. Haha. Wow, this guy has no charisma whatsoever. Nothing. Great wrestler, but he's like we talked about it before. He's like a creator wrestler, generic on WWE 16, 2K16.
How about the
nothing.
pictures of how scrawny he used to be?
Still is scrawny, dude.
Like, he's not a big guy, but he's muscular. But man, he was tiny.
He still is tiny.
I know he's small still, but he was really.
Well, yeah.
He was like weird body.
Tiny stays
small.
tiny. Yeah.
He was weird body small.
Yeah. Still is kind of really small. He's smaller than Daniel Bryan or CM Punk.
Did you think he's smaller than Dan? No, because he's taller than Daniel.
He's taller,
Bryan.
but he is. I mean, he looks ripped because he has really no body. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, because Daniel Bryan probably goes like 195,
Yeah.
205,
I mean,
right?
Daniel Bryan's a little bit more meat on him.
Yeah,
Finn Balor is just a little bit of muscle on bones, dude, with tight
There's a lot
skin.
of muscle there.
Being skinny and being a little twig, deceiving. That's because you look like you have. That's because you have a six pack and
No,
you
I
look like
get
a
it.
twig.
Listen,
Doesn't mean.
I understand.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that
but,
you're muscular. I mean, I think
he's
muscular. I think
muscular.
Apollo Crews. He's
Well,
muscular.
Apollo Crews is massive in general.
Yeah, he's muscular. Let's not put these guys on the same category just because they're wrestlers. Kevin Owens is muscular, but he doesn't look. He's a big old fat guy, but he's still a muscular dude.
Well, you can't sit here and say Kevin Owens is muscular and he doesn't. There's no like muscles bulging out of him, and then say
You see his arms are jacked.
and then say no, they're not. His
You
arms
don't see
are
his
they're
arms?
arms.
When he
You can't-
flexes, he has arms.
Oh, he has to flex. That's my point. Okay, so he's flexing.
So you're saying if you weigh 145, 150,
Finn weighs more than 145, 150.
okay, he's below 200 though.
Yeah, that's fine. A lot of these
So if
guys
you're a
were when they were
twig-
starting
if
out.
you're a
Jericho was
twig-
below 200 when he was first starting out.
But Jericho was never a twig. Finn Balor's a twig.
But he's still muscular. You can't say he's not muscular. You can't say that's all just because he's skinny.
If you're skinny, you have no fat. You have muscle. Of course, everybody has muscles,
Yeah, but
but he's not jacked
He's muscular. He's very cut up in a muscular way.
because he's a twig.
You can't, he used to be even more of a twig. That's
Of
like saying
course.
I'm not sitting here telling you that Weird Body from AIW is muscular.
No, he's less than a
Finn
twig.
has muscle. I would say.
Yeah, of course he has muscle,
All right.
but he's not like muscular. I'm thinking muscular. I'm thinking like big guy.
Well,
like
right.
Apollo
He's not
Crews.
a massive jacked
No,
dude.
He's a twig. He's a
He's
twig.
not jacked, but he's muscular.
He's
Apollo
over.
Crews is
He won't-
jacked.
He wouldn't be over 200 pounds soaking wet.
He probably is not.
So you have guys
How
are
heavy is
twice
that
his
paint?
size. Yeah.
How heavy's the paint they put on him?
But Finn, I would say give him NXT for life. and that's why he's still in NXT, because what can he do to WWE? I think he would in the land of Cesaro's getting, pushed back.
Neville's.
Kevin Owens, a little period there.
Yeah.
Guys that made some big impacts that have just been put the brakes on them so quickly.
What do you do?
What would you do with a guy that had to come out every single week, painted up, crawling to the ring, which takes a long time?
It takes a very long time.
WWE ain't gonna fly that weekly doing that. And other than that, when he comes out with no paint, it's like Joe Schmo from the UK.
Remember when we were at NXT in Cleveland? We were walking through, and I had to tap you on the shoulder not because you didn't recognize him, you just weren't paying attention. I go, Glenn, there's Finn Balor, and then he looked like, oh yeah, and we're like he's just some dude just walking. He's like wearing a hoodie or something.
Yeah, it was like,
and we were like, oh, all right, like didn't even think about it, just saw a hoodie, and then like, oh yeah, then we looked, oh yeah, that is him. Okay.
And it's not because of the paint. It's because he doesn't look like
I would agree,
a wrestler. And
yes,
there is really no mold. Like I'm not, Dick Justice is a
Kevin
huge guy.
Owens
He's a wrestler.
Is your everyday dude who decided to get off the couch and learn how to do stuff, and he's like the everyday man in that form.
A very athletic everyday man.
Yes. Finn Balor is in Cleveland like your typical West 6 kid who's like, man, I like to go to the gym all the time and wrestles, that kind of stature. But you'd throw him at Barley House and you would have no idea who he is. Does that make sense?
Pretty much.
Because there'd be like 40 of him.
Pretty much. And they're all unathletic. They're just douchebags.
Well, Finn is athletic. We'll
I'm saying, yeah.
But right, yes.
I'm saying,
but him walking amongst them, you wouldn't know.
Right, exactly. So, the 24 special was nice for just watching the girls, and behind the scenes at NXT, I thought was terrific, and Triple H talking. And
did you like how excited he is about NXT?
Yeah, I mean it's his baby.
But do you wonder if anybody working on Monday Night Raw is as excited about WWE and Monday Night Raw as he is about NXT like that?
That has to come from Vince, and Vince is the man. Vince, even though Triple H is backstage at Raw helping out and he's going to be taking over, it's still Vince's show. Everything has to go through Vince. The writers have to go through Vince. Everything has to get approved. There's a chain. You come with the idea, has to get passed by the head creative writer, and then it has to get passed by Stephanie, and if she likes it, Triple H has to improve it. And then Triple H goes to Vince, and then Kevin Dunn. If one of those doesn't like it, matter if it got through Stephanie and Triple H, if Vince doesn't like it, go start at the bottom. That's why shit doesn't get done. That's why ideas get passed over quickly that seem to be rushed, because you still got to put a show on. But, I mean, I think it's more frustrating because with NXT, there are no storylines. It's like, hey, you're wrestling her, half an hour ago. There really is no...
They're few and far between.
There's no drawn-out Raw segments. There's not much talking. The video packages they promote to promote the match is highlights from wrestling and short 30-second backstage promos.
Yeah.
Raw, you have all this drawn-out stuff for 3 hours. I think it's tiring for the writing staff. Vince, is he still in touch with what the crowd wants? Triple H doesn't, has a say, but Triple H it's his own baby NXT. He can do what he wants. Does Vince even pay attention that much to NXT? I'm sure he does, but not to the extreme of what he probably should be.
Does it go back to competition? Is Vince not as excited because there's not a competitor that he's trying to defeat anymore? So like guys are coming, Guys are no longer coming back, through the curtain, and Vince thinking, oh my gosh, that was awesome. That's going to be so much better than anything that WCW just put on.
No, because he's obviously Raw is the flagship show.
Sure.
Raw, when SmackDown was beating Raw, it wasn't, hey, good job SmackDown. It was, what is wrong with Raw?
Yeah.
Back in the the 2000s.
Right.
So when NXT now is picking up momentum, selling out the Barclays Center, 14,000 people, it's selling out in a couple hours, and then you have. Obviously Vince sees that. He knows what's going on, but it's NXT. It's not supposed to be the better brand than Raw. And does he view it as competition? I don't think so, because it's still his company. And NXT ultimately is the minor leagues. It's developmental. It's what It's not supposed to be the end-all destination for these wrestlers. So I think it's a mixture of all that, but something has to be done to Raw on TV to get the ratings up, because they've had back-to-back weeks of declining ratings. The first time that these ratings have been low since 97, 18 years. Something has to be done, and it's more of, I think, the writing and storylines than actually wrestling. But it's just
too much storyline.
Too much.
I guess,
3
anything.
hours. I mean, it's too much.
Yeah,
but
it goes back to what we've said, and even Triple H has said, it'd be great to have it at 2 hours long.
But more money rules all, no matter how shitty the program is.
Yeah,
Sponsors.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And with a roster that's huge like that, more time to put guys out there. But it's I think it's overexposure of a lot of these guys too. And that was kind of the debate with Seth Rollins, is maybe they're overexposing Rollins. He's a great heel.
I think he did that himself.
Think for that one for a second. But it's a matter of, he's on SmackDown, he's on, Raw, it's.
Yeah, what happened to the champion being special?
Yeah.
And he's just on Raw.
And we complained about that when Brock was like, the champion should be there every single week, every pay-per-view defending. But now it's like,
Well, every pay-per-view, I think, yes. But I like the idea of not being on every show or every week. It needs to be a big deal that the champ shows up.
But not even that. It's a matter of he's starting the show, there's a promo in the middle of the show, and then he's ending the show.
Yeah.
It should be a, come out, talk maybe put him in a match, but like you don't see him for the rest of the night. So, or like, when Raw back in the, Attitude Era, when JR would open and say, oh, WWE champion, The Rock would be facing off against Kane. But you don't see The Rock until the end.
Yeah.
The run to The Rock came out. There was, maybe he cut a promo, maybe he didn't, but he didn't come out and start the show for 20 minutes.
Or the best storyline periods would be, we don't know if Stone Cold is here. We don't know if The Rock is here. They might be here. Nobody's seen him yet tonight, and this happened last week, and blah, blah, blah. You don't know. And then that main event's happening. And, I still would love when Stone Cold would come out and raise hell, and there could be, 4 tag team match or whatever, fatal 4-way going on, and Stone Cold comes out and he's just pissed off. It has nothing to do with that match, and he just comes out with that chair and just bashes everybody and just keeps it going, and it just makes. But you knew the presence was felt, and you're right. That's it.
They're starting to put up 2001, 2002 Raws on the network, and I was watching a 2002 Raw, the Raw after No Way Out when the NWO made their debut in WWF.
Oh yeah.
And they cost Stone Cold the match the night before. Stone Cold comes out with a chair to start the show, and he literally takes up 3 segments. He's pissed off. He's calling the NWO out. They come out. After they're coming to the ring, they turn around, go backstage, and Stone Cold gets a case of beer, sits in the chair, and starts drinking. And he's like, I'm not leaving this ring.
Yeah.
And it literally takes 3 segments. And he basically, the police come out. Kurt Angle comes out. Gets Stone Cold arrested because Stone Cold hits a cop, and he's gone for the rest of the night. Stone Cold Steve Austin, biggest draw. He's gone for the rest of the night. That's what you need to do. It's it's perfect. It fits his character, and you didn't need to see him 3-4 times through a whole show. He did a segment for a couple times. It was funny. It was entertaining, and they got arrested, and he was put in jail.
It also leaves you hanging on what's going to happen next week now.
And you don't have that because they're cramming in 3 hours, so you're almost cramming in, 2 shows into one. It's
I don't need to know how Seth Rollins is going to react next week because I'm going to see it tonight, and then I'm going to see it on SmackDown.
There, a lot of, I'm not sure if Meltzer is reporting this, but a lot of reputable wrestling sites are saying that Triple H and Vince are going to be planning a major angle to try to get these Raw ratings back up, which I think is needed. If they keep on, Kane, I love Kane, but Kane's not the answer to improve ratings.
Well, I think at least quick answer is you've got to start pitting the Authority against Seth Rollins, right? You've teased it so much now at this point. Let's just do it. Go for it. Stephanie yelling at Seth now this past week during the course of the show. Great. Now, Triple H getting angry at Seth Rollins multiple times for the last month or 2. It's been too long. All right, let's see it. We know it's coming. The tease is there. Just do it.
Yeah.
And maybe they're waiting. Maybe that's a Royal Rumble match. I don't know.
Right.
But hell, I want to see it happen already.
Yeah, me too.
And that's gonna peak up the ratings for sure.
So Hell in the Cells in a few weeks. We're gonna be talking about that in the coming weeks as well, previewing that pay-per-view. And then you have I'll be attending SmackDown in Cincinnati on Tuesday, so I'll be attending there. Might do some interviews, might not. Going as a fan, but we'll see what happens. And then you have Terry Funk coming next Friday for AIW.
Oh, get your tickets.
Yeah, if you want to meet Terry Funk, a legend. I don't think he's wrestling, but he's still going to be there hanging out. So come on out to AIW next Friday.
You might beat the hell out of somebody, though.
It might be you.
It could be.
Could be Frankie Flynn.
Could be Frankie Flynn.
Could be Frankie Flynn.
Could help Frankie Flynn go after Eddie.
Anything else, Steve?
No, nothing right now. It's all very exciting a month we have planned for everybody.
Yeah.
All interesting, great, fun interviews.
Thanks to Tessa Blanchard for giving us her time to coming on the show. Look for the coming weeks. We have scheduled. We have Blue Pants already recorded, so she'll be coming out next week. 2 parts with her. Our second part of the interview with her was invaded by Mr. Eddie Kingston,
Our third co-host.
who took over the mic. So still entertaining. And then we have a couple of outtake segments we're going to be sprinkling into the show as well. And I posted a video on YouTube of Frankie Flynn serenading Blue Pants
Serenading her.
for 5 seconds with his singing.
Did you put that on our Instagram?
No, I put it on my YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
nobody follows us on our Instagram.
Oh. All right. Hey, we have an Instagram.
Yeah, we have Twitter too at
TIA Wrestling.
most likely you'll probably follow us for our main accounts at Glenmore CLE.
The Steve Guy. My voice crack.
Yeah. So and then also we have Johnny Gargano scheduled and Gregory Iron 2 parts with them as well. So a lot of interviews coming up, and whoever we get at AIW as well. Hopefully Terry Funk and maybe Tracy Smothers. He's going to be in town as well. We get some
Full-blooded Italians will
yes.
be at this show.
Little Guido gets on the show as well.
In the match.
And you can go back and listen to all the interviews on iTunes and Stitcher, all the platforms for podcasts. Just hit up This Is Awesome Wrestling Show. Subscribe, leave a comment, rate us. It helps with our iTunes ratings. But go on there. You can scroll through. Each show is highlighted and headlined by our guest or the topic of that show. And you can listen to our interviews with the likes of Seth Rollins, EC3, Jerry the King Lawler, Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, Lillian Garcia, all these wrestlers we've had on the show. Johnny Gargano, The Miz, Heath Slater, Mark Henry. The list goes on for people who've been on the show. So you can scroll through, listen back, and listen to all our past episodes. So make sure to do that on iTunes and also any podcast platform. Steve, final thoughts, buddy?
Nope, I got nothing.
Nothing at all.
Well, what? There's sirens.
Oh boy.
There's sirens going off, Glenn.
Yeah, go. All right. I know this is our bit for every week, but man, I'm holding out any thought of this guy answering the phone ever again. Maybe it's not his number. Maybe not.
He probably changed his number by now.
I don't know. So here we go. Calling Big Pump Scott.
Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner. Freaks on my peaks.
Wouldn't you answer it though? This number kept calling you every single week.
Nope.
Just once.
Because I would think it's a bill collector. I'd be like, get out of here, bill collector. I don't have no money for you.
So there you go, Scott Steiner. Like I said, go to iTunes. Our top downloaded show in the past month, according to iTunes popularity, is our show with Eddie Kingston.
Oh, yeah. A lot of tweets on that last week.
Also, Kurt Hawkins' interview is up there, and our Sasha Banks interview has been getting some plays Gargano, Dangerous Gilbert, Tim Donst, Lillian Garcia, Samoa Joe, Chris Sabin, and Jerry the King Lawler interviews have been getting some play.
Well, hashtag get John Thorne famous.
Yeah. Okay. So those are the interviews on iTunes, most popular. Head over there, subscribe. Like I said, leave a comment, rate us. It helps with our show, and maybe we'll read it on the air for all you marks out there. Anything else?
Oh, we would love to read things on the air from you folks.
Yeah, all the marks.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Come on.
definitely.
Tweet us.
Say you love us.
Tweet at us. Rate, review, subscribe.
Yes.
Definitely. We want to get some more interaction going.
All right, Steve, anything else?
That's all this week.
All right, we will catch you guys next week. We're going to have two shows next week. Blue Pants and Gregory Iron interviews for you. So look for that sprinkled throughout the week. Might get a surprise on your iTunes store notification tab with the This Is Awesome show early next week.
Beep.
So, no.
That's the surprise sound.
That's not much a surprise.
Beep. I don't know. My phone stays on silent all the time. I'm not sure what noises it makes.
All right. We'll catch you guys next week. This is Awesome Wrestling Show on SteelySound.com.